Ace versus Zalae. In our defense, that was just a joke for TJ. See, the thing is, when you cast with TJ, you gotta give him some easy lobs here to appreciate the one-on-one dynamic. A lot of my jokes aren't for any of you watching at home or around the world. It's purely for one person. So it's just to make him laugh. And for some reason, production wants to get in on it and show some of these awkward moments. So apologies if anybody got a little bit jarred by some of the antics on camera.
We have to cast.
But I'm sorry that I'm not sorry is actually the more correct way to phrase it.
We do have to cast a lot together each week. 6 to 10 hours roughly for 3 days in a row. Not really any breaks. So sometimes in order for us to stay energized, we need to keep ourselves happy.
No, TJ, we have to be professional the entire way through and break down every matchup line by line. Coming up next, we got Zoo Warlock and Combo Priest as a protect. Zalae with the only lineup without Priest. I mistakenly mentioned Firebat yesterday, also not having Priest, but I misread the columns. I accidentally divided up incorrectly on my spreadsheet here. Both warriors being banned, which means that it really comes down to if Zalae can beat the Priest early on with that Zoo. But we've also seen a couple of rabbits pulled out of the hats, most notably with Eddie's Shaman today up against StrifeGrow's Priest. And with this last best of 3, TJ, what's going to happen, you think? A no Priest lineup.
I know. No Priest is kind of interesting considering Priest is just so powerful right now. And I would understand it if Zalae had like some tricks up his sleeve to be able to counter the Priest, but a lot of his techs just are pretty weak to Priest. The only one that can really stand against it is the Zoo Warlock. Even his Shaman is teched like pretty much as bad as possible as you can be teched for Priest. He doesn't have anything that can answer early board states. He does have like, the former champ, which not really that great against Priest. It's way too slow. It's something, another thing you don't want in your opening hand added to the long list. I think it's great in other matchups. It's one of the best anti-Druid Shaman lists. It's one of the best anti-Warrior Shaman lists. But against Priest, he's going to struggle.
I am inclined to agree. That's it.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at our 2 players here.
You can tell we were stalling until Zalae got back, and they're like, screw it.
Let's throw it up on camera. Important match here. Bloodyface has an opportunity to move up even further in the standings. Yesterday's loss to Just Sam knocked him down from the first place race. And now, all of a sudden, with Zalae's victory, he could move from the bottom of the standings, he was tied for last place, to in the playoff contention. As you can tell, 3-3 is a pretty comfortable spot in the sense that players get a chance to fight for that playoff spot. Most likely spot number 4.
Yeah.
Zalae was 1-3 to start off the week, and he was in last place based on the tiebreakers, and I think now he's an opportunity to move into that top 4 with a victory here.
Yeah.
Monsanto also, by the way, 4-2. We have to update that stand.
Yeah, race 2-4. So Zalae is actually above him in standings. So
Zalae's 5th.
He's 5th. So could be a big win for him here, especially since Bloodyface is so close to him.
Yeah. At the same time, a defeat for Zalae would mean that there's a 4-way tie for 5th place.
Wow.
Race would be 2-4. Zalae would be 2-4. PNC would be 2-4. Amnesiac would be 2-4. That's exciting. It's very stressful for those 4 players.
Next week becomes incredibly crucial for those 4 players, especially if they have matchups against each other. Next week will end the first round robin, so any player that they have not played against yet in Grandmasters Season 2, they will play against in their division next week. So,
yeah. One thing that I feel like does go into Zalae's favor, though, and I was talking about this with Admirable, is that Zalae strikes me as the player, one of the few players who's just composed. And I think that technical play is really important. And I think deck preparation and your lineup that you submit, all of that's super crucial. I even think how you do the protect and bans is important, DJ. But I also think keeping your head cool is the most crucial thing right now. And a lot of players are struggling with it. Zalae doesn't, though.
He doesn't, no.
I feel like he just strikes me as like I'm just playing my stuff. If I lose, I lose.
Last season, he finished last place in his division, or maybe one above last place in his division. And he didn't seem too fazed by it, honestly.
Yeah, Omni Slash in general were in the bottom 2 of the divisions across
the
every
board.
Yeah, across the board. Soleil, Patra, and Firebat. It was not a great look. That's okay though. They were powering up and ramping.
Yeah.
They were the Quest Druids, TJ.
That's right. Or the Highlander mages.
Yeah. I think only Firebat's positive though. I think Patra and Soleil both still in the negatives of their win rate.
Yep, Soleil can change that now and at least go even. But staring up against a Northshire Cleric, Bloody Phase, he was kind of cringing at first because his opening hand was pretty atrocious. He had Psychopomp, Divine Spirit, Acolyte of Pain, but then drew the Northshire Cleric off the top, and that frown turned into a smile.
Quickly.
As he realized that everything is okay with the world.
Everything is awesome.
In the light's name.
Bloodyface, after thinking about it, avoided the draw, says this is a matchup about tempo. I care about tempo. And with that, Soleil has an opportunity to invest into tempo with the Evil Genius. Wow, that's a real cruel way to say it.
What?
You've served your purpose, and then he kills you.
Yeah.
Wow. That's dark.
But then you're reincarnated
Kind of like that.
as something much smaller.
No, much bigger. Oh, you're talking about the lackeys.
Yeah.
Sorry, I talking about the servant.
Whew.
So for Bloody Face, what's the best way to go about this? You can attack and then hero power with the cleric to try and get the little buff, but
Then
Top-
you don't develop anything, and the 3/4 eats up your board.
yeah, this 3/4 is really problematic.
Yeah. The heal might be the best because
Yeah.
if you just play Injured Tolvir, the Light Warden gets value traded. The Injured Tolvir gets value traded, then the Light Warden gets value traded.
Maybe you plan around the Psychopomp, so you play Injured Tolvir and then hope that Psychopomp revives one of the good things. Seems like the best course of action.
Yep. He's going to try and protect his Northshire Cleric here, but unfortunately the turn 1 Northshire Cleric will not get any draws. As long as Soleil deals with it, which it's very likely that he will.
He's got so many great options.
Yeah, it's actually possible that Soleil plays Neferset Thrasher here, but it's a little bit, it can sometimes be a liability in matchups where you are trading often. Because if you need to trade a return with Neferset Thrasher, you're going to continue to damage yourself. But I think Northshire Cleric, you just want to remove the board whenever you can.
Yep.
And it's not like he's just removing the board, he's also developing a ton behind it.
Yep, I like maximum stats, and this is partially why, you know, what we were hearing from Monsanto, Zoo could be pretty hard. There was a lot of choices to be made that turn. There's a lot of ways you could go about it. You could just develop Neferset Thrasher to get it out of the way. You could play Witchy-Lack and try to go for balls. You could try to go maximum stats on the board.
Yep.
Soleil, though, one thing we can just agree is that he is in full control. This is
Yep.
bad for Bloody Face. Without Wild Pyromancer, very difficult to pick things apart. I think I like starting off with a Witchy Lackey or a Evil Genius of some sort.
Is someone injured?
Witchy Lackey is a great way to restore the health effectively onto a minion. Like that.
Wings!
Check click.
Oh,
And it negates the damage that Neferset Thrasher is going to deal to himself.
That's right.
Works out quite nicely.
Bloody Face is in trouble, to say the
Yeah.
least. He could play Injured Blade Master Neferset Ritualist for a maximum tempo, but gets answered super easily by what's on board. with the upside of Zalae having even more access to lackeys. Now the thing is, Zalae hasn't even gotten to the part where he starts to life tap a lot and overwhelm you with resources. This early game has been a ridiculous start.
Oh. So I think if you're Zalae, you just keep trying to clear this board and
Yes.
try and build behind it. He does have some good trades on the board. He gets to keep a lot of things alive. But then it's also a matter of what do you do with the rest of your mana? Do you life tap? Are you using Evil Genius to clear off one of his minions? Do you get rid of your 1/1 or your...
So I want to close the game as fast as possible while clearing their minions. So I think I'm only going to life tap if we need cards to play. We have ways to fill up our mana curve, so let's play them. So I'm looking at Knife Juggler first and minions. Another way we can look about this Neverset Thrasher is that it's going to cost us life. So we can... Actually, hold on. So we definitely want to play Juggler. Definitely want to kill the 2/3. You can trade the Flame Imp to the 4/7. You can go the 4/5 to the 4/7. You Evil Genius first? I guess so, because it might improve your Jugglers.
Yep.
Might even get Goblin Lackey. Ooh! That's really good. So you Goblin Lackey now. Now you trade the Thrasher goes face.
Nicely done.
Yeah, I like this the best.
Now this Juggler is going to give him even more board presence.
This is looking over, TJ.
Oh, yeah.
Bloody has like one more turn where you can wait and try to get Wild Pyromancer. But I think this is done.
And if that's the case, if you know you need Wild Pyromancer to survive, do you play Acolyte of Pain here to absorb some damage and draw deeper?
I think you might need the Acolyte to draw more than one card.
Yeah, but you can't. You wouldn't be able to play it because if you play Wild Pyromancer, Acolyte of Pain, Topsy-Turvy, you only have mana left for the Divine Spirit. It might let you pick up a 1-mana spell.
Yeah, that's fair.
Speak to me.
This guarantees at least 2 draws.
So Goblin Lackey on the Thrasher gets it to 5 attack. That's the most attack you can place on one minion. We have 2, 4, 7, 10, 11 damage right now. So they could look for Ethereal Lackey to get a spell. Finds Ethereal Lackey. Also finds Goblin Lackey.
Yeah, the 3 choices, since you can't see them on screen, Witchy Lackey, Goblin Lackey, and Ethereal Lackey.
Yeah.
Though this will risk the juggle into the Acolyte of Pain.
From nothing, power.
Demon Fire. Demon Fire, Fiendish Circle, Bane of Doom. Demon Fire is playable right now on the Voidwalker.
Almost out of time.
Okay. Lay says, you know what? Just get him.
I have different things in mind. You have 1 turn to clear this board.
Yeah, and Bloodyface picks up more card draw, and he can draw a little. He can draw 2 cards, maybe even more if he finds Wild Pyromancer, but he needs a little bit extra help. Circle of Healing. I don't think that's enough. Looks like Bloodyface is dead.
Yep, dead on board. He can't even Topsy to reduce attack except for the Flame Imp and the Jeklik, but it only reduces 1 damage. And even through that, there's enough on board with a Topsy-Turvy.
There's 15 damage on the board right now.
You have been.
That's it. Bloodyface taps out, and Warlock gets a win over Priest. Priest struggles continue here on America's day number 3 of week 3.
Yeah. I mean, players are starting to realize that there was a little bit too much in the ways of predictability on Friday and Saturday. Everybody was protecting Priest. Everybody was queuing Priest game 1, and the players, for the most part, except with the exception of Race vs. Monsanto, the players that have been going against the norm and trying to tackle the Priest in game 1 are coming out on top.
You don't have to play Priest Mirrors in game number 1.
No. It's
you
an
don't
option.
have to, and we actually haven't seen that yet. So.
No, I don't think so. Not today. A lot over the past 2 days, but not today.
Yeah, that's right. With that, we're going to take our last break of the week here for the Hearthstone Grandmasters. When we come back, we're going to have Bloody Face versus Zalae play out the rest of this best of 3.
Shadows are rising again, darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, the world cries out, how will we survive? Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tombs, they grab their whips and fedoras. These legends of the past know exactly what to do. There might be magic monsters, mummies in the markets, and ancient mysticism. There should be scorching deserts, adventure, monster of narcissism. High stakes think annihilation, obliteration of civilization. Now is the time to be brave. Evil's come to enslave, but this league's gonna save the world.
My name is Sam Braithwaite, and I'm the Senior Global Franchise Lead for Hearthstone Esports. This event was especially cool because it takes place right after the brand new expansion, Rise of Shadows. Historically in Hearthstone Esports, we do our big events like this towards the end of an expansion cycle, but we really wanted to shake things up and really showcase that not only is the world champion the person who can pilot the best decks, but also the person who, when presented with a brand new game, can put together the best decks leading into the World Championship. Cheers to you guys, the sold-out crowd here for the HCT 2019 World Championship.
Welcome back to 2019 HCT World Championship.
We've had a lot of fun games, and we're looking forward to the grand finals. Showdown. Viper versus Hunter Ace. Only one can be the champion. Oh, come on!
Alex, match we dead.
Wacko pick a Vis coming out from Hunter Ace.
It's now or never. Archvillain reform.
Okay! In a completely solved game, Hunter Ace finds a way to maximize his chances. It's been a wonderful journey throughout the past few years of the Hearthstone Championship Tour, where stars were made and dreams came true.
Welcome back, everyone, to our last match of the day, Bloody Face versus Zalae. We're currently in the middle of it, 1-0 in favor of Zalae. The Priest not coming through. Turns out Priest isn't the deck that's infallible. It just has a lot of really strong openings. And also, to be fair, I feel like we've had less nut draws from Priest today than we have seen the previous few days, where it felt like Priest just kept drawing like the exact cards they needed to win.
Yeah. I mean, Bloody Face had Northshire Cleric on one, but he had pretty much no follow-up.
Yeah, Tolvir, and he had Light Warden and Acolyte. He had plays, but not like the juice.
Yeah, not the juice. But I still think Bloody Face is in a decent spot with the Priest because his next two matchups that he could face are good ones. There's a Druid on the table from Soleil and a Shaman, both of which I favor Bloody Face pretty heavily. So there's a potential that this game could come down to a game 3 unless Soleil can pull an upset against Priest with the Druid, which is possible. We've seen it multiple times already throughout just this weekend alone. Druid has a lot of tools to fight the board early, though they are pretty narrow when it comes to their ability to remove large things that come onto the board early. Most notably, like Wrath. Yes, Wrath can come out to deal with a Northshire Cleric that's on the board or an injured Tolvir, but not one that gets healed up before it reaches it. So for Bloody Face, it's all about getting on the board fast and protecting that board from the removal that you know is there from the Druid and trying to snowball the game before they hit the critical mass where they can Oasis Surger freely and Starfall you into oblivion.
In the light's name.
Light Warren on 1. Soleil does have the Oasis Surger and the Nourish.
But nothing in between.
Well, I mean, he has the quest and the coin.
Job's done.
So Soleil will be able to play Oasis Surger by the time he finishes the quest. It's all about how much damage he takes before he gets to that point. And with an injured Blade Master.
Oh, man. Injured Blade Master into Nephroset Ritualist and Inner Fire.
Yeah, this might be a quick one, TJ.
Oh, man. Next turn, he could Potion Vendor, then Nephroset Ritualist, then Inner Fire. Which is 4 plus 6 plus 9. So 19.
Yeah, and Soleil doesn't have the Wrath.
I mean, he could Innervate Swipe, but he delays his quest.
And
he only clears off 1 minion.
And if they had Psycho Pop, you're playing directly into it.
Yes, and if they have Psycho Pop on 4, you're playing directly into it. This is gonna be brutal for Soleil.
Yeah, and I think it's just, again, Druid can't get away with being so greedy all the time.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
So that's even more damage.
Yeah, I think now this is just, this has to be
This is only one more damage, actually, because you Potion Vendor, Divine Spirit, Inner Fire, that's 14 plus 5.
I'm saying right now, this has to be game, right? Like, Soleil's going to play.
Oh, yeah. He has literally 1 turn left. And he has no quest completed, a swipe as his only removal in hand.
He has to swipe Innervate, and then Bloody Face just Divine Spirit's Inner Fire. I think this game's over.
If Bloody Face's Inner Fires right now, he puts him down to 8, and even if he swipes, he's dead on board. But I guess if you just hold on to it, he's dead on board anyway, so. Well.
Yeah, he's going to do the only thing he can do, which is swipe and Innervate, and then Bloody Face has the Divine Spirit Inner Fire. That's game number 2 done. 3 minutes, TJ.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I said it was a bad matchup. I don't think it's often that bad, but it happens more often than you'd think. And I think Soleil kind of realized the position that he was in. He relied on winning game 1 with Zoo Warlock, which he did. He knew that his other 2 matchups were huge unfavorables.
Right.
And expected to lose, which he did. And now he's going to rely on his last 2 decks to carry him across the finish line. And it's going to depend on kind of the cues here. I suspect a Druid Mirror.
Right, it's Druid Shaman versus Druid Shaman.
Yeah, so I expect a Druid Mirror would make the most sense, I think, assuming they both think that the Druid is the favorite in that matchup, which is not always the case.
Yeah, PNC, for example, Q Shaman into that.
Q
Because
Shaman,
he thinks the
yeah.
Shaman's good.
Yeah, I think more players, I'd maybe say like 60 to 70% of the players think that Druid's favored, but there are some in the camp. I couldn't come to a conclusion in my testing earlier this week. We tested the matchup 2 weeks ago. You know, the results were Druid is an overwhelming favorite, but then, you know, players started to change the way they played. They started to change their text in both of the lineups, both of the lists. And then I was kind of on the fence with Druid maybe being a slight favorite, but...
TJ, but it's Zalae. Quest Shaman, best Shaman.
Zalae could Q Shaman. He might think that the matchup
I
is
hope
better.
he does. I hope he does, because I like to see Zalae play Shaman. I think Shaman's really fun. Shaman is probably my favorite Tier 1 deck, or, you know, in contention for Tier 1 deck.
Oh, well...
I'm a big fan.
I mean, Zalae might even be a favorite in the mirror matchup, though, for Druid, though. Like, his deck might even be a favorite. He has Mind Control Tech and King Feoris, as opposed to Bloody Face having Blood Mage Thanos and Chef Nomi. And Elise the Enlightened. Yeah, I think when you consider that Zalae probably is a favorite in the mirror matchup, I think it would make sense. If their decks were exactly equal for the Druid, then maybe Zalae puts some confidence in his Shaman deck.
I just wanted to see some Shaman. I miss it.
We saw some Shaman earlier.
Yeah, but I miss it.
Okay.
I want to see more Shaman. We saw Shaman with Eddie versus Strife Crow.
Yep.
And ETC versus Firebat. That's not enough.
The Eddie versus Strife Crow one was really exciting. I liked that match.
It was. It was kind of like a get up on your feet moment.
It was. I agree.
Who goes on the coin? Who goes first?
Bloody Face.
Bloody Face.
So we had a mini debate about this, about the Druid being on coin versus not on coin. Obviously, when you're on the coin, if your opponent doesn't have an innervate on turn 1, even if they do, you complete the quest faster.
You do complete it half a turn faster.
You complete it half a turn faster, which lets you have initiative. But you are operating essentially a mana down for the game. And if you miss one of those initiative plays, like if you complete the quest first but then don't have a good play on turn 5, don't have a proactive play on turn 5, then you're just at a disadvantage. So because you use the coin to complete the quest faster. So it's kind of an interesting scenario. Right now, Bloody Face does not have a way to capitalize on the being on the coin. But things could change. Couple draws until then. Does have the Nourishes and the Anubisat Defender, which are massive. And Zalae right now does not have too many tools to kind of fight that mid game. Hidden Oasis is usually a late game card because you want to save it to where you can get value out of the heal. Another Cenarius. How greedy do you want to be here, Dan?
Pretty greedy. I think greed is good.
So
Greed,
Cenarius?
well, specifically tempo. So Cenarius is greed and tempo. Starfall's the only other consideration, I think, here.
You don't want a 3-mana Blessing of Kings?
3-mana Blessing of Kings is also solid,
Plus
but you don't play anything until then.
True. Yeah, I agree with you. No Mark of Nature, but Starfall plus Cenarius is interesting because he already has Cenarius in hand, and he also has Swipe in hand.
Job done.
Goes with Starfall. Bloody Face looks like he's having pen issues. Grabs another one. This one appears to work.
I wonder.
Bloody Face, one of the few players to utilize manual tracking. Deck Tracker is legal in Grandmasters. So interesting to note that he wants the personalized human touch to his notes.
Analyzing some data from rank 5 to Legend Quest Druid, or specifically Druid Mirrors, and we're assuming that it's mainly Quest Mirrors, Quest Druid. It's about a 4 to 5% bump. between going first or going second. Going second has that slight advantage because you finish that quest. It's not as big as you might think, compared to, say, like Mana Cyclone mirrors of having the coin.
Or Rogue mirrors.
Or Rogue mirrors having the coin.
Yeah.
Of course, that's a low sample size, and it could be dependent on whether or not this Quest Druid deck that I'm looking at is even favored or like trying to tech for the mirror, which I don't think it is. And things like Mind Control Tech, King Feoris, Chef Nomi influence that.
Yeah. But it's kind of the situation I was worried about. You complete the quest earlier, but you need to capitalize on it.
Exactly.
Bloodyface doesn't. He has a Nubasoft defender.
Right.
But that's not really capitalized on it because that gets eaten up by Zlay's Oasis Surger if he were to have it.
And that's my argument, which is, you don't always want to be the one finishing the quest first if you don't actually have a proactive play.
Yeah.
Versus Zlay will have things to do on 6. Now, that being said, I think Zlay not having Nourish, not having tools like that to capitalize is kind of a bad thing. His hand is very awkward, it's super reactive.
Taking a look at some of the text, you saw it on your screen for a minute before the match started, but Bloodyface, his top end is Elise the Enlightened and Chef Nomi. Zlay's top end is King Feoris. No Chef Nomi, no Elise the Enlightened. Zlay does have Mind Control Tech, which can be a big deal in the matchup. He also has Power of the Wild, so that can help you push some damage and help fill your curve. Bloodyface opted for Blood Mage Thalnos.
Yeah, that seems to be a direct acknowledgement to the fact that there are a lot of zoos and whatnot out there, and having Blood Mage Thalnos swipe or Blood Mage Thalnos just doesn't really game play.
Yeah.
Better than just not doing anything.
Yeah.
Starfall is also really key as a card for clear.
Well, I think people also realize how powerful the spell power from War Druid Lodi was.
So they're like, just give us more.
Wow, like spell power is insane. I want more of that.
Zlay kind of floundering here, although Bloodyface picks up pretty much the same cards, except this time he has spell damage. Wrathfield is 6.
And we'll have to dump a card here. Likely an Innervate into Worthy Expedition.
Or a Nubasoft Defender.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Nubasoft Defender is all the way over there in the corner.
But by playing Defender, he also loses the Floop on the War Druid Lodi.
Yeah. Oftentimes not a massive deal, but the mirror matchup is one of those matchups where the Flooped War Druid Lodi can come in handy.
I wonder.
Just because of how beefy the board states usually get towards the later stages. Oh man.
It's okay for Zlay. Still has to. Now he actually has targets to Wrath. But yeah.
He is a few mana crystals behind because of the Nourish from Bloodyface, and obviously a few cards behind. And this hand is just completely reactive outside of Cenarius.
Yeah, this is like the hand that he wish he had against, Zoo Warlock.
Yeah, where it's just all removal and then follow up once you've cleared all of their waves of threats. But unfortunately in the mirror matchup, there's just once you get to a certain stage of the game, it feels impossible to get through every one of their threats with just removal alone. You have to build board tension at some point or you're going to get muscled out.
Generally in favor of playing Wrath, but Zlay is also worried about the Cenarius follow-up here. Cenarius would be deadly. It's way too much stats on the board.
I could double Wrath, but that's a lot of targeted removal. Looks like he's going for double Innervate Cenarius. This was on my mind as well, but with spell damage on the board, this doesn't feel as good. Cenarius just gets answered by a single Starfall. At least the actual Cenarius, maybe not so much the Treants.
So Starfall does 9 damage to a single target and 3 damage to everything else. So it doesn't clear everything.
It would have if he held on to the Flooped Lodi.
He wouldn't have the 3/5 developed.
True.
Yeah. It's a good point, actually, because if he didn't, he'd be able to play Nubasoft Defender this turn. So we'd have a 3/4 and whatnot. But as he knows, the opponent's going to double Innervate Cenarius. very unlikely.
Blade-Face realized that he's most likely going to keep this lead. Drew the Claw. Allow some face damage.
For no one.
Blade-Face has the opportunity to innervate for some follow-up plays here. Kind of like innervate the Oasis Surger or Drew the Claw, one or the other. Pushes with the 4-6. Interesting.
So this is going to run into Starfall Wrath from Soleil. So I think Soleil was really hoping for a play like this.
Yes. It was like a play that implied from Soleil's hand that he had more follow-up, but the truth is he really didn't.
Yeah. I mean, look at this hand. It's just completely reactive, and I think Soleil was hoping for additional development and maybe like kind of an overreaction from Blade-Face. I wouldn't call this an overreaction. I would call this just Blade-Face's attempt to keep the board. The pick of the Druid of the Claw kind of plays into that as well. But this Starfall from Soleil in the left here was taken by Worthy Expedition.
He doesn't have to Starfall either. He can swipe in Wrath again, so he can just like improve his draws.
This is such it's a juicy swipe and a juicy Starfall. I think I like holding on to the second Wrath to be able to help pick apart, but I'm not sure. And Mind Control Tech is also interesting.
I wonder.
But I don't think this is the board state for it because there's a lot of poor steals.
Job done.
Ends up going for the Starfall so he can keep his options open. I think he's realizing he has to be very flexible.
Yep. Oh, wow.
Another, or not another Scenarios. That is the first Scenarios.
Yeah.
And then he can Scenarios again afterwards. Another alternative is to play Oasis Surge, Drew the Claw, and then Scenarios after those three minions get on the board, rather.
What to do? Who dares defy this ancient land?
Oh, boy.
Just a lot of stats. So, Wrath and Swipe deals with only part of Scenarios. That's how beefy it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think Soleil probably starts with the Wrath and hopes that Nourish is the next card. He can take damage because he has Hidden Oasis. I think right now he just needs to catch up in resources. It's like War Druid Lodi, Crystal Merchant.
Yeah, Swipe Crystal Merchant. Seems to be something that he can look for. Almost all of Soleil's good cards are in the bottom part, but at the same time,
Time waits for no one.
even if he gets to those good cards, he's just too far behind.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Crystal Merchant and hope that Bloody Face is going to overextend here.
I mean, this looks like Scenarios follow-up is super good. You can even Hidden Oasis right before it, or you can even Drew the Claw after it. You don't want to do it before you play Scenarios. Thing is, I think Bloody Face is considering the possibility of Mind Control Tech. So if he goes for Scenarios right here, he might be playing too much into it. There's a lot of stats to consider.
Who dares defy this ancient land?
A lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. Wow, that's a lot of stats. Mind Control Tech Floop. Ooh, Soleil with
Is
an
it
audible
worth
lose.
it?
As opposed to
I'd
say
dying,
so.
I guess. Yeah, you're
Mind
right.
Control Tech is equivalent of destroying a minion, summoning one on your side.
Yeah,
the
that's
upside of
probably the best he can do.
yeah.
He needs to steal like 7, 10, 8, 8 in order to survive. I guess he's still alive if he steals one of those.
If he steals both, he's ahead on board.
Yeah.
Pretty commandingly, I'd say, because he could power the wild at the very end of all that.
Yeah.
Engaging TC-130. Mental
Oh, he gets it.
Engaging
Another one?
TC-130. Mental dislocator.
Okay. Steals the scenarios. 8, 12,
It's 20.
19, 23. The Drew of the Claw, right?
Yeah, 23 with Druid of the Claw. He can nourish here. Still has mana for Druid of the Claw if he needs to. But now Floop is gone and Mind Control Tick is gone, so Bloody Face can just...
2 swipes.
Oof! Bloody Face can disrespect everything now and clean up the board any which way he wants to, or just push face damage and set up for a swipe. I think that's a little bit too aggressive considering Zalae has Hidden Oasis.
What to do?
He's played 1 though, and he's played a Ferocious Howl. Has a small hand for second Ferocious Howl. So, wow.
I like the Oasis Surger here. Oasis Surger trade to the some of the weaker minions or the stronger minions that can challenge your board. I like the 3-4 kills. I like going face with 8-8. I like going face with everything. Nourish finally comes in. Potential big draw here for Zalae.
I mean, he can go Nourish, Hidden Oasis, double Anubisat Defender. But that does allow him to fit into Power of the Wild, and Power of the Wild seems pretty crucial here because it allows him to take off a 4-4 and the 8-8.
Right.
What to do?
So maybe it's Hidden Oasis, double Anubisat Defender, Power of the Wild.
Sure.
And then you draw a card from Hidden Oasis, and you can Nourish next turn to try and refill. You trade off a 4-4 and the 8-8. Ah, but he leaves so much stuff on board. Is Starfall good in this situation?
What to do?
Would Starfall keep him alive? No, it wouldn't. Because he'd Starfall the 8-8, trade over it with the Crystal Merchant, trade off a 3-3. He would leave 3 power on board, so he'd die to a swipe. I don't think that's that's appetizing enough for him.
Time waits for no one.
So yeah, I think it's build a bunch of big taunts. Take off as much power as you can. Unfortunately for him, Bloody Face has Blood Mage Soundhouse double swiped.
Yeah. That's 4 damage AoE. Is that lethal?
I don't think it's lethal, but it'll clear off like his entire board. So you Blood Mage Soundhouse, you swipe the 7-7, and then you swipe a 4-6. You trade over 3 damage into the 4-6, and you would push 14 damage plus the 4 from the swipes. So that's 18. Unless there's a better way to do it. There might be a cleaner way to do it.
It might be lethal.
No, it is. Yeah, you're right. It is. Oh, no, because he has to put the 3 damage. He has to put 3 damage into the other Anubisat Defender. There's no way around it. And then 3 damage goes... And there's 14 push to face, and he'd be at 15. But he clears off the entire board. That's the important part. And he has Druid of the Claw as a follow-up. So Zalae would have to clear off Bloody Face's board state. And heal. Not active.
It's a board clear, but he's dead to the Druid of the Claw.
Yep.
Zalae valiantly hung in there. I mean, he finds a Starfall now. You can word the Expedition first, I suppose.
Maybe he wants to draw a card from Crystal Merchant, though.
Yeah, you're right. And all things are pointing to a Bloody Face victory here. Is there any other consideration for Zalae besides that?
I
don't think so. By all means, he hung in there. Just not enough life. Too much tempo, too much damage.
He could like Lodi and find crystal power with the expedition. And that might keep him alive if he attacks with Lodi and the taunt stays in the way, but he would have to be playing around exactly charge damage, which not always the case. So Bloodyface pretty much had control of that game all the way through. So much pressure, and ends up winning the series despite the game 1 loss with the Priest versus Zoo.
That's right. So with that, we have a 4-way tie for 5th place.
Wow. 2-4 all across the board.
Yep, Zalae, PNC, Amnesiac. It's
and Race.
Yeah, and Race. It's definitely a bloodbath down there, but it's exciting. It's exciting.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, the race for 2nd place, because Sane's in 1st place, is very interesting as well, given that there's a couple of 4-2s out there. We're going to try to get Bloodyface on the line for a brief interview, but standings are going to be something that we're going to be focusing a lot going into it. And the Druid mirror attacks didn't really come in too much into the equation because Zalae was just too far behind on tempo.
Yeah.
Felt like.
Too far behind on mana as well, which is the big thing. Didn't find Nourish, but the mind control tech, I mean, it could have been the difference maker. If it steals the 8-8 there, maybe a different game because it was, you know, so thin of a margin at the end there. But, you know, not coming into play too much, and Bloodyface just pushing his advantage until he eventually was able to close it out.
Let's go ahead and chat with Bloodyface right now. Bloodyface, are you there?
Yep. What's up, guys?
Not too bad, not too bad. Now, you got that win after a slow start where Zoo Warlock was kind of dunking the Priest there. Priest is struggling a little bit today based off some of the matchups against Warrior and Warlock. Do you have any commentary there? Is it just kind of expected based off what everyone was bringing?
Well, I think coming into the week, everyone expected Priest, and so like a lot of people tucked their decks either to like be good against Priest, or they just kind of did what I did, which is just kind of let Priest get a win and just focus on like getting a win with the other decks. So yeah, I think like in last match earlier today, Nalguidon's Warrior was like more tech. I think it was Nalguidon's Warrior that was more tech against Priest. He had like Militia Commander, Weapons Project for like more early removal, more consistent shield slams to kill the high toughness minions. And then like the Zoo matchup, I mean, it's pretty even. Like Flame Imp just lines up really well against a lot of early threats. Like if you don't have the Ritualist plus or like Ritualist Circle plus like one of the injured minions, Zoo can like usually get a win there. So I don't know. I feel like Priest, what makes Priest so strong is it has a lot of 50-50 matchups, but then it has a lot of like slam dunk, like favored matchups. And those are against like the top decks like Druid and Shaman. But like, I mean, it's just that you can't like really reliably beat Druid very often. You can like have 50-50 matchups against it. So I think today we kind of just saw the other side of that where Priest was dominating earlier, and now people kind of like their techs are starting to shine a little bit more.
Got it. Got it. Let's talk a little bit about yesterday, Bloodyface. It seemed like there was some stumbles here and there.
Oh, God.
What happened on your end?
So just a little backstory. I prepped a ton for this week. I almost brought like Mechathune Warlock, and I had like Highlander Hunter the last day. I was like really trying hard to beat Priest, and I kind of just came to the conclusion that it's just not worth it. Like I just wasn't confident in my decks enough, so I just kind of went with the standard lineup. And all that playtesting, I guess, kind of burned me out a little bit because I took 2 days off of playing Hearthstone, and I thought that'd be good for me. And that match I played against Sane was the first time I played Hearthstone in like 2 days. And I'm not trying to make excuses, but like, I mean, that definitely like contributed to my misplays. I just, I got in position that was very complicated after the Boswamdi. You know, I had the Wild Pyromancer, Topsy, Potion Vendor turn, and I know animations are like pretty critical, so you kind of just have to go with your first instinct there, and I think my instincts were just off. You know, I did Topsy the opposing Northshire Cleric and Sane got to draw a bunch of cards. And then like after all the draws resolved, I just kind of panicked, and I didn't really have a good mindset of like what exactly I needed to draw and like what exactly I was going to execute. I was kind of just like, I don't know, I was like really nervous, and I just kind of just fumbled it and just kind of messed up that turn. So yeah.
It happens. Nobody's perfect. A Hearthstone Grandmaster once told me. So
Sounds familiar.
You mentioned about your preparation process, how it was really intense, and you feel like you even burned yourself out to a certain extent. Is that going to change your methodology? You don't have to say exactly what you're going to prep, but in terms of just the structure of it.
I think I need to focus on my plays a little bit more, and maybe just lean a little bit on like other people for deck lists. Like, I kind of like being a little bit fancy sometimes. You know, I'm not playing Beaming Sidekick. I'm playing Potion Vendor and Holy Ripple, and that's kind of like me just wanting to be different. And I don't actually know if it's better or not, but I kind of like just having a little bit slight differences. I think if I just like didn't try and find weird stuff like that, maybe just like net deck Hunter Aces, Bump Swandy lists, and just really focused on just playing correctly, I'd probably get more percentage points that way. So, you know, I might shift a little bit away from trying to break the meta and focus more on just like playing the best decks well.
Look at this guy. He didn't get the memo. We're not supporting you. We're not encouraging them. We've had back-to-back interviews before you where the players were going for the slam dunk on Europe. Now Guidon went on EU. Monsanto went on EU.
You're supposed to be dunking on them, not helping them.
Your opportunity to finish
going
it.
On EU? How can NA say bad stuff about EU? Like, what?
Who is this guy?
We don't want him anymore.
Who is this guy?
You can go play in EU next season.
I wish I could. I feel like EU has all the best players, and not to say NA doesn't have great players, but I want to play against the best. It just motivates me more.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
I'm just shots clearly playing. Yeah.
All right. Well,
he's clearly being facetious.
Yeah,
he doesn't mean any of that.
He's clearly being facetious, of course.
Don't be hurt if you're at home and you're an America's fan.
We're not going to force you to say anything you don't want to say, Bloodyface. And you've been very cordial. And you, actually, it's something that you've brought up a lot in your interviews, that you do want to compete against the best. And I guess the first step, of course, is playing our best. And then we'll get to that threshold. Yep. Congrats on the victory, 4-2 for your overall record. And we'll see you back next week for more.
All right. Thanks, guys.